The sirens were a deafening scream in my ears, a primal wail that seemed to tear the very fabric of the night. Red and blue lights strobed through the ambulance windows, painting my pale, clammy skin in frantic, hellish flashes. My chest was a cage of fire, each ragged, shallow gasp a searing agony that felt like I was drowning on dry land. The oxygen mask was a cold, hard plastic prison against my face, and still the air felt then useless, refusing to fill my burning lungs. A paramedic leaned over me, his face a mask of focused intensity under the harsh interior lights. "Stay with me, ma'am. Just focus on my voice. You're going to be okay. We're almost there." His hands were firm, competent, adjusting the IV in my arm. His name tag read David. I tried to nod to show him I was fighting, but my body was leaden. The world was narrowing to a tunnel of pain and his voice. Then another sound cut through the chaos, a voice that turned my blood to ice. "This is all so unnecessary. She's being dramatic." My eyes, heavy and blurred with tears of pain, managed to flutter open. Standing at the foot of the gurney, perfectly framed in the rocking ambulance doorway, were my parents. They weren't supposed to be here. They looked utterly out of place. My mother was dressed in a crisp, cream-colored pantsuit, her pearl necklace unmoved. My father wore his best tweed jacket, his expression one of profound irritation, as if he'd been interrupted during a crucial business meeting. "Sir, ma'am, you need to step back," David said, his voice sharp with warning. "She doesn't need all this," my mother said, her voice cold and precise, a scalpel slicing through the medical urgency. "Look at her. She's always been weak. Take the mask off. You're just prolonging the inevitable." The words didn't just hurt. They stole the air the mask was trying to give me. I felt a dizzying wave of nausea. This couldn't be real. My father scoffed, a harsh, ugly sound. "Don't you dare speak to my wife that way. That girl has been a drain on our resources, our patients, our very lives since the day she was born. She's a black hole of need. If she dies here, it's a blessing, a mercy for everyone. Let nature take its course." Let her die? The words hung in the sterile, beeping air of the ambulance, more toxic than any poison. I tried to lift my hand, to push them away, to defend myself, but my limbs were anchors. The only thing that moved were the tears that finally broke free, tracing hot paths down my temples into my hairline. Her mother leaned in closer, her expensive perfume, Chanel No. 5, filling my nostrils, a scent I'd always associated with her rejection. It was suffocating. "She's useless," she whispered, though it was loud enough for everyone to hear. "A failed investment. We should have cut our losses years ago." Through the haze of pain and betrayal, a single thought crystallized with terrifying clarity. My son, Leo. His 5th birthday was next week. I'd promised him a dinosaur cake. If I died here, at the mercy of their contempt, who would bake his cake? Who would read him stories and protect him from ever hearing these same soul-crushing words? David's face was a thundercloud. He positioned his body between me and them, a human shield. "Ignore them," he commanded me, his eyes locking with mine, pouring his own strength into me. "You are a fighter. I see it. You are not going anywhere. Do you hear me? Focus on my voice. Breathe." The ambulance jolted over a pothole, and a fresh wave of pain crashed over me. My parents' voices continued, a relentless, cruel commentary over the sirens. Such a spectacle. Always seeking attention. Just let go. But something had shifted. David's words, the thought of Leo's small, trusting face, it ignited a spark, a tiny, defiant flame in the cold, dark void they were trying to shove me into. No, not like this. Not for them. I closed my eyes, not in surrender, but in concentration. I focused everything I had on drawing one breath, then another, Each one was a battle, a victory. If I survived this, when I survived this, they would learn that the woman they called useless was about to become the architect of their ruin. When I opened my eyes again, the screaming sirens were gone. The world was a sterile, white silence. The smell of antiseptic replaced the smell of my mother's perfume. The oxygen mask was still there, but the air flowing into my lungs was clean, cool, and blessedly abundant. A nurse with a kind eyes and a gentle smile was checking my vitals. "Welcome back," she said softly. "You gave us quite a scare. You're in the ICU. You're stable now." Stable. The word felt foreign. My entire life had been a precarious balancing act on the tightrope of their approval, forever unstable. My parents? I croaked, my voice a raw, shredded thing. The nurse's smile vanished. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "They caused a significant disturbance in the ambulance and again in the ER. Security escorted them out. They didn't wait for an update. They left about an hour ago." They left. Of course they did. The tears came then, not a self-pity, but of a profound, clarifying grief. The parents I'd spent a lifetime yearning for, working for, begging for love from, had literally asked for me to die and then left me in a hospital. The illusion was finally, completely shattered. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments where you're from, because what I did next would change everything forever. The next few days were a blur of tests, nebulizers, and weak attempts at broth. But my mind was razor sharp. I was planning. Leo visited, his small face pale and scared. He climbed gingerly onto the bed, careful of the tubes. He said, "Grandma said you were too sick to get better." I gathered all my strength and pulled him close, my heart cracking and mending itself with a new, fiercer resolve. "Grandma's wrong, my love. Mommy is getting stronger every day. I will always be here for you." His words were the final catalyst. They weren't just content to destroy me. They were already planting their poison in the next generation. Upon my discharge, I didn't go home to convalesce. I went to war. My first call was paramedic David. He didn't hesitate. He said, "I've been thinking about you." His voice was grim. "I've never witnessed anything so cold in my career. I will give you a full, signed statement. I will testify if you need me to." His statement was detailed, brutal, and notarized. It was my first weapon. I then became a detective of my own life. I requested the full ambulance report and my medical records. I began making quiet, discreet calls. I reached out to my aunt, the black sheep of the family, whom my mother had cut off for disloyalty 20 years ago. Over tearful cups of tea, she told me stories I'd never heard. Of my mother's pathological jealousy, my father's financial ruthlessness, how they cheated their own siblings out of inheritances. I found former family friends who had been unceremoniously dropped. One, a gentle artist named Martha, confessed, "Your mother told me you had developmental issues as a child, that you were a burden they nobly bore. She told it to everyone. She built her identity on being a martyr to your needs." Piece by piece, I built a dossier. It wasn't just about the ambulance. It was about a lifetime of systematic emotional destruction. They had built a pristine public image. Philanthropists, pillars of the community, long-suffering parents to a difficult daughter. I had the proof that it was all a meticulously crafted lie. The perfect opportunity arrived in the mail. A thick, embossed invitation. My parents were hosting their annual charity gala, a lavish event that was really a monument to their own vanity. The entire town's elite would be there. They thought it would be their night of triumph. I decided it would be their public execution. The night of the gala, I dressed with deliberate simplicity. A sleek black dress. No jewelry. Leo was safe with my aunt. I walked into the glittering ballroom of the Grand Heritage Hotel, the folder of evidence held tightly in my hand. The room was a sea of diamonds and designer suits. And there they were, holding court at the center of it all. My mother in a gown of gold sequins, my father beaming, accepting praise for their generosity. The murmurs started as I walked through the crowd. Heads turned. I was a ghost at their feast. My mother saw me first. Her smile didn't falter. It tightened, becoming a rictus of panic. "Darling," she trilled, her voice too high. "You're out of the hospital. We were so worried." "Were you?" I asked, my voice calm and carrying. "Is that why you told the paramedics to remove my oxygen mask? Is that why you said, and I quote, 'Let her die, she's useless anyway'?" The room fell so silent, I could hear the ice melting in someone's glass. My father stepped forward, his face purple with rage. "How dare you? You're clearly still unwell. Delirious. This is slander." "It's not slander if it's true," I said. I held up the first document. "This is a sworn affidavit from paramedic David Chen, who was in the ambulance. He heard every word you said." I handed it to the mayor's wife, who stood nearby, her hand flying to her mouth. "And this," I continued, pulling out another sheet, "is a statement from my Aunt Clara, detailing how you defrauded your own family out of their inheritance to fund this lavish lifestyle you so enjoy." I turned to the crowd, my voice rising, not in hysteria, but in absolute, cold certainty. "You have spent my entire life telling me I was worthless. You have told your friends I was a burden. You told my son I was too weak to live. You built your reputation on the back of my supposed failure." I looked directly at them, my eyes dry. "But I am not the failure here. You are. You failed as parents. You failed as human beings. You are the very worst this world has to offer. Empty, vicious, and small." I didn't need to shout. The truth spoken so calmly in that opulent room was louder than any scream. The aftermath was swift. The crowd didn't erupt. It recoiled from my parents, as if they were contagious. I saw looks of utter revulsion. The social capital they had spent a lifetime hoarding evaporated in an instant. I didn't wait for their response. I had said what I came to say. I turned and walked out of the ballroom, the weight of a lifetime of shame finally lifted from my shoulders. The cool night air had never smelled sweeter. I breathed it in deeply, my lungs filling completely for the first time since the ambulance. They had tried to suffocate me, to erase me, but I had learned to breathe on my own, and in doing so, I had stolen the very air from their world. Their legacy wasn't one of charity or success. It was one of betrayal, recorded in official documents and sealed with the paramedic's signature. And my legacy? It was just beginning. It was the sound of my son's laughter, the strength in my own two hands, and the profound, unshakable peace of knowing I had finally broken free.